everyone! So I don't know if you guys remember, oh my god, already it begins. So you guys probably remember Kathy Trithardt, who has been in like 12,000 of our videos at this point, and we thought, why not add another one? Kathy, shut up.
Sorry.
I'm concentrating.
I'm the worst.
We recently read 2 different books. First, we're going to be talking about Geekerella, but you will also see the counterpart on Kathy's channel where we review Queens of Geek. It's a modern day and geek-infused interpretation of the story Cinderella. So we have Elle, who lives in South Carolina with her stepmom and her stepsisters, and she and her dad were really connected to the show Starfield. The prince character is this guy named Darian Freeman, an 18-year-old Indian soap opera actor who has just been cast in the lead role of a Starfield movie adaptation. They start texting and they fall in love, and it's so cute. It was a really good modern interpretation of the Cinderella story. There are things that I think are somewhat difficult to adapt into a modern day adaptation when it comes to fairy tales, just because, you know, our culture changes. Things like the way the fairy godmother character played into it in the book was really interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was a great interpretation because, yeah, just having a random old lady wander into the scene would be really, really weird.
That'd be really odd.
It would be very odd, but having this, you know, person that she's kind of known for a while but hasn't really got on with, and having a friendship form there, and then... Yeah, like I saw it from the beginning what her, you know, magic carriage was going to be. That was quite obvious, but I was still delighted when it happened. Something I really appreciated in this book was having the 2 different point of view characters on 2 different sides of the fandom. So even though Darian is a huge Starfield fan, nobody knows about it, and he is somebody in the production, and just seeing that aspect of it.
Yeah, I did too. I know exactly what you mean. One of the parts I highlighted is the scene where he says, maybe as a fan, I'm the worst person for this role. Maybe I'll screw it up more than someone who doesn't care that way. It's earlier in that scene that we have him saying the uniforms are the wrong color.
Yep.
And that was interesting because I can see where, like, when I was a younger fan, that would have really bothered me. But now I'm of the mind that, like, a slightly different color blue is really not that big of a deal. Changing a character's eye colors isn't important unless it's important to the story.
Exactly. If that fits in the universe that they're creating for that cinematic version of that, it's totally fine. I remember when Harry Potter's eye color wasn't the same as in the books and people flipped their shit. Like, it doesn't really matter. Anytime you adapt literally anything, things have to change, otherwise you're just making the exact same shot-for-shot movie, which, why? That's really expensive to do for very little payback.
I loved Darian so much. He and I were very similar. Elle, I can get. I didn't feel like I was her. But Darian, whew, Darian's my boy. There is a part where Jessica is talking to Darian. As actors, all we can do is put ourselves in another person for a while and play them the best we can. We're instruments. We read the notes on the page and interpret them. And it was just so interesting to think about it that way. That's a moment for Darian where he's just like, you're totally right. I can only just do my best. My interpretation is gonna be different because I'm a different actor and we live in a different time, and like that's just the way that things happen. And I really, really loved that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that as somebody with a theater background, because if you're jumping into an iconic role like that and you do it exactly the same as they did, people are just going to say, well, you just mimicked that person. Like, you need to be able to take the role, but do something interesting with it. My favorite recent example of that is watching the 2017 It. I was a huge fan of the original, and I was like, whoever is playing Pennywise has huge shoes to fill, because Tim Curry was amazing, and Bill Skarsgård was great as Pennywise, and there's no like, this one did it better. It's like, no, they were both great. That's, yeah.
There were 2 parts really that made me cry. One of them is the confrontation that Danielle has with her stepmom after she gets back from the con. Her stepmother says, like, Starfield isn't real, and the sooner you learn that, the better you're going to be. And, like, Elle says to herself, like, I know it's not real. The audiobook reader for Elle was really, really good. And so, it was... it made me feel emotions.
Yeah.
And so she said, like, those characters... They were my friends when everyone else in the real world passed around rumors behind my back or called me weird or shoved me into lockers. They never abandoned me. They were loyal, honorable, caring, and smart. And I was like, oh my god, why I was
Audiobook
crying.
reader, why are you making me cry in public transit? Yeah, that's happened to me before.
It was beautiful. It was beautifully written. Do you want to know the other part that made me cry? I think I might have texted you when this made me cry.
Remind me.
She meets that girl in the bathroom. She calls in all of her friends to like help finish Elle's cosplay, and and they're all giving her parts of their cosplay, and I'm like, no! It made me feel so emotional to have all of these characters be like, yeah, this con means so much to me. I've been coming here for years. We're all part of a group, and it...
Yeah, even just thinking about that scene, I'm like, don't cry on camera. It's too early in the morning to be crying. What are you doing with your life? Come on.
I didn't expect it to make me cry, but it totally did.
Yeah, because it just makes me think of like every single person I've met at a con who is still a part of my life and I love. So, yeah.
The things that we watch may ultimately not be real in the sense that they exist in a physical way, but they exist in the ways that like we form relationships with other people, and that makes them real. And I'm gonna cry talking about it. No. They have this spectacularly choreographed fight from the outside of the convention center all the way to the back of the convention center, where they fly off of a banister. And it's hysterical.
Yeah.
I loved that part so much. So that was just one of the moments where I really, really intensely identified with Darian. I'm like, Darian, you and your impulsive ass, I'm here for it. So much. I was really impressed by how well Poston adapted the Cinderella story into a modern day setting, and also managed to have like geek culture and fandom play such a big role in it. And most of the time I felt like that was really, really well done.
Yeah, it was in there, and also sometimes it was a little bit sneaky. Like there's a point where I'm pretty sure Darian was like walking by Nathan Fillion, or just like saw him in a green room and was like, I've got things to do so I can't go talk to him, but there he is, okay.
Every time Firefly was brought up, I thought of you. I'm like, I bet that made Kathy happy.
Oh yes.
I really enjoyed this book. It was so cute.
I thought it was adorable and wonderful, and like if you like any form of cheesy, geeky, romancy thing, yes.
Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. In the comments below, let me know your favorite Cinderella adaptation, and subscribe to The Princess and the Scrivener for more videos on Disney, intersectional feminism, pop culture critiques, and more. The Princess will see you tomorrow. And don't forget, go watch Queens of Geek on Kathy's channel. Go do it now.